Well, a lot of directors want me to start coming as soon as rehearsals start. And in fact, some of them want me at auditions. And I really love if I have the flexibility in my schedule to be there for auditions all the way through, because then by the time we're backstage, I've bonded with the cast and we feel connected and they feel like they can trust me. But I've also come in right before Hell Week. That happens too sometimes when they just ask me at the last minute or something like that. So I like it better when I can be there all the way through, but it's a bigger time commitment for sure. Because I'm a mom, I often think of it as a stage mom. I mean, I'm just kind of there to make sure everything runs smoothly, that everybody knows where they need to be, and that their stuff is where it needs to be, and also that they're safe. Just doing all the things that can support the actors so that they're able to focus on what they need to do on stage. So it's an element of cleaning and tidying and making sure everything is where it goes, but then also safety and emotional support. You know, I have actors tell me that they feel really safe when I'm the stage manager, because they know that all of that is taken care of. And so it helps them feel safe and they're just able to perform without having to worry. So during rehearsals, we're just getting familiarized with the scripts that we know in general, what's going to be happening, what the cues are going to be. And then we often are in the house calling lines as the actors get off book. Most of the directors want that from us. So we're really not able to get backstage until Tech Week, because that's when they're totally off book. As soon as they're totally off book, or like in this case, I had a good ASM, my son Gil, and so we were able to have one of us backstage and one in the house calling lines. Now, I will watch from the house and I'll point out anything that I see that comes up as an issue that might be challenging or impossible, that the director might be trying to get them to do something, and I'll point out an issue that I can see or something like that, how much time they're going to need for things. Sometimes directors think that stuff is going to happen a lot faster than it can possibly happen, you know, to get them turned back around and on stage. But as soon as they're totally off book, then we're able to start setting up our area. And in this case, we put down rugs and rope lights and clip lights and all that. We did that during set calls. If we don't have a chance to do that during set calls, we start doing that, you know, hopefully before Hell Week, to try to, you know, just make it so that once the stage lighting is up, we can see back there and people are safe. I usually have a podium so that I can have the script, and it's got some storage underneath for the things that I need, the different gaff tape and spike tape and glow tape and stuff like that. Gil and I like to have a tool belt with Sharpies and a flashlight and gloves and scissors and safety pins and that sort of thing, so that we're prepared to, you know, deal with whatever comes up. And then just making sure that everything is clear and safe so that people can move around without tripping or falling or running into stuff. Anytime an actor says, "Oh my God, I almost fell right there," I go right away and try to figure out what we can do to make sure that they're able to move around, because everything that they have to think about that isn't their lines or their blocking, it takes their focus away from doing what they need to do on stage. So I want to try to make it where they don't have to think about navigating that space safely, or even where their props are and all that. We have checklists that I make up, so that we have a checklist for presets and then what should be on each prop table, and we go through and double check all of that before the show so that they don't have to think about where their stuff is. And so the way I've done it is I print that out on a computer and I slip it into a plastic page protector, and then I use a dry erase marker to cross it off, and so that we can just erase it every day and go back and check it off. That's really worked well. So this is like our prop. This one has prop stage left. It's all crossed off for today. Upstage center. I think we have our other props on the other side of that. And then our preset list and one for intermission, what we need to do during intermission, so that we have a checklist. We only have 15 minutes. We need to make sure it's all done and ready to go. And we just use that dry erase marker. We can make notes to ourselves right there for the next show. And then the script, and we follow along. And Gil makes a scene list and the actors have loved having that. It's great to have something up that helps them know what's the next thing and who needs to be where. So, and that's different for every show. Sometimes I have a run sheet that's like a spreadsheet of all the things. This show, I didn't end up with that because he had this scene sheet. It's really helped them just know what's coming without having to look at the whole script. One other thing that's really important that the stage manager does is communicate with the booth. So we have wireless headsets that we use. We've got 2, so my stage assistant can have one as well as myself, and then one in the booth. And he needs to know when we're ready so that he can start the show. And he also tells us things that we can't see from backstage so that we know to open the curtain or whatnot. So we're in, pretty constant communication with the booth to understand how to make those 2 parts work. And sometimes he can't quite hear the cue that he's listening for, so I can hear it better and I can tell him to go with that next cue, stuff like that. So that's really important. And even today, the actors come, and if something's not working quite right for them with the cue, they let me know, and then I communicate with the booth to fine tune that so that the actors know what he's going to do and he knows what the actors are going to do. And, it's like really a choreography between backstage and on stage and the booth to know, when to make all those things happen. At the end of the day? Yeah, we just try to do a lot of resetting everything right away. Like today I put most of the stuff back so it's set for the top of the show. There's a few things that I didn't do, and we'll get that when we come and do our preset checklist. But the big stuff, I try to go ahead and do it right away so that it's not in the way and so that it's mostly reset. And then when we come back in, we do things like sweeping the floor if it's needed and stuff while we're getting the stage set for the show. And then just getting the ghost light set out before we leave. The ghost light is there for tradition, but also to make sure that you can safely see your way to the work lights, when you come in the stage. So I think of it as a safety thing too. We're often the last ones to leave, so we need to make sure that the building is secure before we leave and that all the lights are turned off. Doors are locked and that everything is off backstage, including the air conditioning and heat. Emptying trashes, checking that they have paper towels and toilet paper and things like that backstage, water. Right. Things that the actors need, just again, so that they don't have to think about that stuff, so that they can focus on their lines and their blocking and their costume.